watercolors, we're going to try 3 different techniques: wet on wet, glazing, and then you're going to have a practice for your summative of the technique you want to try. For wet on wet, you'll actually use a layer of water with your brush, just clear, clean water. And then you will take a color of your choosing, make a little puddle, and then you will brush that very wet watercolor on top of the water. And this is called the wet on wet technique. For the glazing technique, the first thing you need to do is create one solid layer of color using a very light color, so water it down a lot, and then we're going to let it sit there and let it dry. Go back on your wet on wet and try to lift up with a dry brush some of your color. This is a technique if there's areas that got too dark, where you go back in when it's still wet, you dry off your brush, and you let your brush soak up some of that color. For the glazing technique, I just went back with my wet brush that I dried off and went back and just tried to even that out because I want one nice solid even color to dry. After they dried, you can see there's 2 very distinct looks to the wet on wet versus the glazing. For glazing, you're going to layer another color directly on top, making sure it does have a lot of water in it, because the point is that you will then see the color underneath still. So it's lots of thin washes or glazing to see the colors underneath still shine through that second color. Your last experimental paper, you're going to use whatever technique you want to try and take a second to make a practice for your summative. So maybe blending colors with the wet on wet technique, whatever it is that you want to do to mimic for your summative is what you will practice here.